Okay, so let's say you've been gifted a pleated face mask. You've been given one and you have a few others, and you would like to have a clear panel. I've heard different ones say that they like the idea of people seeing if they're smiling, and you would like a clear panel in it. That's what this video will help you to do in a few simple steps. Okay, I have a man's face mask here, so that's the size I'm dealing with. And the piece of plastic, you can get it at a fabric store. It's 8-gauge plastic. It's called vinyl fabric, and it's thin. You can put it through the washer. I wouldn't put it in the dryer or in a hot wash, but in a regular cold wash. So that's what we're going to do, is take this panel and make a clear panel in the face mask. So for the adult size, you would want a piece of plastic that's 4 by 5 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the stitching that's holding the pleats in place. Okay, so I removed the stitching that holds the pleats together on both ends. You notice that the two pieces of fabric are still sewn together. It's just the pieces that held the pleats in place. So now that it's open, I am going to cut a 3 by 4 window into the center of the face mask. And since you're going to see through the window, we'll be cutting through both pieces of fabric. So remember, the piece of plastic is 4 by 5, and that we're cutting out a 3 by 4. So it'll leave an inch all the way around, so that you'll have a 1/2 inch over on all sides. So we'll go ahead now and cut that out. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll flip it on the back and place it in the center. So I'm just going to measure each way so I can get it in the center. Okay. We're just going to take a pencil or a marker and mark a rectangle. So to make this easy for me, I just made a 3 by 4 piece of plastic, or you could make a piece of card or a piece of paper. That makes it easy to trace around, and that makes it a little bit easier than having to draw lines, having a little pattern. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now, of course, I'm using pencil. So what I'm going to take now is my rotary cutter, and I'm just going to make a line through the middle, and it's going to cut through both pieces of fabric. I have a healing pad underneath, so makes it a little bit easier. You can use scissors to do this. It doesn't matter. I find the rotary cutter a little bit easier. And now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut to each corner. Okay, so remember, we're cutting both pieces of fabric at the same time, front and the back. You're going to want to turn it inside out. Now, not all pleated face masks will be made the same, but if you have a homemade mask, most likely you should be able to do this. Inside out. And like on my other video, when you get to this point, what we're going to be doing is taking your crafter's tape, and you just roll a little bit, and you're going to fold that back. So this adhesive is a little bit easier than using pins or anything, and you can reposition the rectangle. So once you have it all back, you'll know between the front and the back, sometimes they differ a little bit, and you don't want it to look messy. So when you're done, you can reposition it. Okay, so I've trimmed them off a little, and you can see through. So now we're going to put a little of this tape these locations. So what this is going to do is hold the plastic down so it doesn't move. Straight line, and then we'll go over again with the zigzag. Okay, so the vinyl tends to want to stick. So if you notice, I have the foot totally on the fabric. It's resting on the fabric, not on the vinyl, and wound with a straight stitch. 2, the vinyl will want to stick to underneath to the panel. So I do raise this up when I sew. Okay, so we've got a straight stitch on all sides. The vinyl didn't catch while we were sewing, you noticed. So now we're going to go around with a zigzag stitch. I'm just going to turn my dial, make sure my needle's up when I do that. And I'm going to turn it to a 2 for the length of the stitch. And now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to go around with a zigzag stitch. Zigzag stitch done all the way around. Now we just have to put the pleats back in. Okay, just remember when you're putting the pleats back in, the reason why you want them is so that they'll go tight around the side of your face. So we're just going to make them about a 1/2 inch deep. Okay, so I'm getting ready to sew my pleats here, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I dial back to my 4 for the length of my stitch and back to 2, which is my straight stitch. And I want to make sure that when I sew over and put the pleats back on, that I go forward and backward over both ends so that it reinforces the elastic. Okay, so we got one side done. Now we're going to flip it over, and the pleats need to go in the same direction as the opposite side. We're just going to fold them down. They should lay flat at the end, so when you hold it up like that, it's a nice flat surface at the top. Okay. So what was a mask without a window is now a mask with a window. You can see. You can definitely see through it. Now remember too, when you put that plastic on, you want to make sure that you use a soap so that it's before we do that. The question everyone has is, don't they fog up? I have a natural soap here that I use, and you rub it over the plastic on the inside, and you'll see it makes a bit of a coat on the plastic, and you just take your finger and rub it in to the plastic. An almond oatmeal soap, I believe, but what I'll do is I'll use something that is not allergenic. It won't fog up. So I'll just keep rubbing that in.